This phenomenon was repeated every 3 minutes, and the supply of eagerly moving women in cloaks, bearing reticules and bundles, renewed itself in the most liberal manner. On the other side of the graveyard was a row of small red brick houses, showing a series of homely, domestic-looking backs. At the end opposite the hotel, a tall wooden church spire, painted white, rose high into the vagueness of the snowflakes. The lady at the window looked at it for some time. For reasons of her own, she thought it the ugliest thing she had ever seen. She hated it. She despised it. It threw her into a state of irritation that was quite out of proportion to any sensible motive. She had never known herself to care so much about church spires. She was not pretty. But even when it expressed perplexed irritation, her face was most interesting and agreeable. Neither was she in her first youth, yet though slender, with a great deal of extremely well-fashioned roundness of contour, a suggestion both of maturity and flexibility, she carried her 33 years as a light-wristed Hebe might have carried a brimming wine-cup. Her complexion was fatigued, as the French say. Her mouth was large, her lips too full, her teeth uneven, her chin rather commonly mottled. She had a thick nose, and when she smiled, she was constantly smiling. The lines beside it rose too high toward her eyes. But these eyes were charming, grey in colour, brilliant, quickly glancing, gently resting, full of intelligence. Her forehead was very low. It was her only handsome feature, and she had a great abundance of crisp, dark hair, finely frizzled, which was always braided in a manner that suggested some southern or eastern, some remotely foreign woman. She had a large collection of earrings, and wore them in alternation, and they seemed to give a point to her oriental or exotic aspect. A compliment had once been paid her, which, being repeated to her, gave her greater pleasure than anything she had ever heard. "A pretty woman?" someone had said. "Why, her features are very bad." "I don't know about her features," a very discerning observer had answered, "but she carries her head like a pretty woman." You may imagine whether after this she carried her head less becomingly. She turned away from the window at last, pressing her hands to her eyes. "It's too horrible," she exclaimed. "I shall go back. I shall go back." And she flung herself into a chair before the fire. "Wait a little, dear child," said the young man softly, sketching away at his little scraps of paper. The lady put out her foot. It was very small, and there was an immense rosette on her slipper. She fixed her eyes for a while on this ornament, and then she looked at the glowing bed of anthracite coal in the grate. "Did you ever see anything so hideous as that fire?" she demanded. "Did you ever see anything so affreux as everything?" She spoke English with perfect purity, but she brought out this French epithet in a manner that indicated that she was accustomed to using French epithets. "I think the fire is very pretty," said the young man, glancing at it a moment. "Those little blue tongues, dancing on top of the crimson embers, are extremely picturesque. They are like a fire in an alchemist's laboratory." "You are too good-natured, my dear," his companion declared. The young man held out one of his drawings, with his head on one side. His tongue was gently moving along his under lip. "Good-natured, yes. Too good-natured, no." "You are irritating," said the lady, looking at her slipper. He began to retouch his sketch. "I think you mean simply that you are irritated." "Ah, for that, yes," said his companion, with a little bitter laugh. "It's the darkest day of my life, and you know what that means." "Wait till tomorrow," rejoined the young man. "Yes, we have made a great mistake. If there is any doubt about it today, there certainly will be none tomorrow. Ça sera clair en moi." The young man was silent a few moments, driving his pencil. Then at last, "There are no such things as mistakes," he affirmed. "Very true, for those who are not clever enough to perceive them."